Okay, Molly. Yeah, just behave yourself. So, the one another system is definitely a good one, but there's one little catch. You know, I'm not asking for money off anyone, right? I just want to try and help everyone get a little bit closer to the music, to the key they're trying to get to, by using the one another system. That's what it's about, really. Yeah. And what else was I going to say about the one? Forgot. I'm going to have to record it again. But you have to bring in somebody. That's part of the deal, right? You've got to bring another one into the system. And, you know, I don't want any jealousy sort of stuff happening, really. That's not what it's about. It's supposed to be sharing. You know, music is to share, not to sort of keep it to yourself and that and just die with it, you know. You've got to try and share it around if you can. And that's what I'm doing. So try and give it to somebody someone that's better than you. Like, you know, your mate's better than you, or your sister or your brother or whatever, girlfriend, right? Give it to them. Help them out and that, because you've already got a shortcut. There's like 10 years shortcut there, instead of waiting for 34 years of playing and that to sort of like get to it. You're getting a shortcut straight away. So I think that's a fair deal, right? Just bringing one more person into the one other system's like a chain letter, call it, right? And then you've done your bit, right? Just practice the one another system, and if you like it, keep doing it. If you're really not happy with it and you're not getting anything at all out of it, I don't expect you to bring another one in, right? But if you think about keys and stuff like that, right, and sound, number one's the best one. How can it not fit in? It doesn't matter what key you're in, right? It doesn't matter what one, just as long as you're on one, the right one, you play all the ones, there is no bad one. You're going to blend in, right? So that's why you're using the ones to try and find the one you're dealing with and get closer to that one. So I've been doing this for about 5 months now, and someone will just go straight past me, you know, because they just know more about music and all that. That's great, you know. If I can help everyone a little bit, that's what it's about. I'm really trying to find another one, someone that really knows about music and that can speak another language, right? That's the one. Look out, you don't want to see that one. That's a bad one. You don't play that one. Isn't that right, little? Yeah, to try and explain it in other languages, because I think that everyone deserves to know this one, right? It should be in the handbook, the guitar handbook, right? I mean, it's the best one. It's the best scale you can get, number one. And you're hitting every single one. So it's like, you know where all the ones are. That's the thing that's really great about it. And it doesn't matter what note you add on, you just do the one another system from there, from any note that you add on, and you get all the other ones. That's how it works. That's why the code's been broken, right? But, yeah, I kind of think of it a bit differently now. When I'm sort of playing, I think more about the one that's actually playing the guitar, right? So if you're deciding to find a sound and you make that sound happen, the system that I've actually got in there, it's like a slave that's in there, right? Ready to show you all the ones if you're on the right one and you're doing the right pattern and that, right? Because you've got to learn 6 shapes basically, right? And then they just repeat themselves, or they're changing another key. And sometimes I forget where the one is and I lose track of the one. I'm still trying to learn from this one. That's how good this one is, right? It's better than me. That's why I put it in there, because it's better than me. It had me stooge for 34 years, right? That's why I want to give everyone that one, right? There's no more one problem. You know, I'm playing the guitar, it's like, which one do I go to next? What one? There's no more problem. You can go to another one, right? Or you're listening to the music and it's like, oh, I wish I could play that one, right? there's the one problem again. Or, oh, hang on, I love this one, listen. 111. It's always one problem. So we grab that one, we put him in, we show everyone who that one is, right? That's what it's about. So yeah, playing the one, the one scale, right, is the best one. And that's why it needs to go into that handbook there, that's what I reckon, right? Give somebody else another option of playing it differently and learning it differently. Like I said, I haven't seen anything like it, in my life. I know there's a whole heap of other scales there, and I'm going to disappoint some people with the way that I'm going to try and explain the major scale and that, because I haven't got really a lot of use for the flat and second and the flat and sixth, right? Kind of makes me sleepy, the flat and second. So I feel like crashing out, yeah, start playing the flat and second, and from the first to second, and then you go to your third and your fourth, and muck around there if you want, or whatever. Yeah, the one level system, when you actually get on the board and you create one, which is the first one, it doesn't matter whether you arrive to it, descend to it, you rise to it, when you finally come to the one, that is you, right? And no matter where you go, you're hiding behind another one because you're giving that one a chance to be heard, another note or whatever you're doing, right? So the actual root note, which is you, are hiding behind each note that you're playing, right? You're the only one that's moving. Number one's the only one that can move. You are number one, right? And you've got the power because you're at the beginning and you're at the end. The beginning is the end and the end is the beginning, right? And you're the only one that's moving and giving everybody else a chance of having a voice. And they all want to be heard, so they all want to try and sort of be good, because if they're no good, go to another one. It might be the same one as that, but it didn't sound quite that good there. Go to a different one, another system, and play it there, and it might be a better one, right? Maybe not, right? You've got to try and use your ear to find the ones that sound good. But, the best sound you can give a one, it's like food, right? To a bird or something like that, you give it its best food, it's like its treat, right? Is another one, right? So we're all like a song. And if we're like a song, I'm halfway through my song. This system is my song. The one another system that I'm giving out to everyone so that they can get a little bit closer to the song that they want to do, right? So I haven't got any words for my song, right? You can put them in. You can do your own song. But the one another system is my song. And I want the whole world to join in and be involved with it, because it takes too long. It's not fair to the average person out there, whether it's female or male, that are working. Then you come back home, try and play a little bit, and you spend time with your family, you got to eat and all that, right? So you can't spend that much time on the guitar, and it takes a long time to master it. And that's why I think that's not fair that by the time you do get there, you haven't got much time left of playing before you bug it, whether it's arthritis or whatever it is. So I want you to be able to play faster, sooner, right? Instead of waiting the same amount of time that I did. I want you to enjoy it for 25 years instead of, That's what it's about, really. Just taking people a step forward into their music career, or, the song that they're trying to tackle or whatever. Give them some other idea of how to do it, right? I mean, if you want to follow the tablature system, go right ahead. I did that for 20 years, right? I understand it. I know how it works. I don't really want to tread on anybody's toes here when I'm playing, like Reverend Gary Davis or Stefan Grossman and John Renborn and stuff like that. They're just, I don't want to bring out that stuff here, right? Because it's theirs. So I'm trying to avoid doing sort of like sounds because that's where I learnt it from. And usually when you learn a language, right, you get taught how to speak, and when you speak, it's like a chord, each word is like a chord, right? You put a few letters together from the alphabet and create a word. It's a chord in the voice, in the human voice, right? And that's what you're trying to do with the guitar. You're trying to create like chords and that's how you do it. Yeah. So in French, because I'm French and I'm Scottish as well, right? There's certain sounds that we make that other countries don't make, right? So when I came to Australia, when I was 10 and I was turning 11, I was on the plane coming over, right? I could hear the air ladies coming around and the air hostesses coming around and stuff talking, and when they were speaking it sounded like I had to learn how to whistle, right? The English language sounded like whistling sound to me at the time, right? So I had to learn how to whistle. And so I did learn how to whistle, and I was speaking English, or Australian, right? But the sound comes from inside your mouth and in your jaw, and so it comes out, right? So it's from the front, which is the front, right? And some of the countries, in other countries, it comes from behind, derrière, from behind, so like deep in your throat, right? And that's why when you're singing certain notes and stuff like that, you know, the English language is a bit hard to sing B flat, like on the guitar. Hang on. So you got the guitar, right? You got B flat, boom. So you got a coming from the throat, right? Whereas you haven't got really words that match that. But in the French language, you got pont, right? So pont, ta, long. And each one of those notes, pont, ta, long, like makes up a word. Pantalon is jeans in French, right? So you got pantalon. So you can pick certain notes to make a word, just like pick a few letters of the alphabet, put them together, and that come up with words, right? Yeah, so it's a bit like that. And what I actually do is I think about my favourite scale, my favourite key, and I think about the major scale in my head. And just like everybody else, right, if you're thinking out loud in your head, right, you can actually close your mouth and start thinking inside your brain, right, and you can actually hear it, right, even though you're not making a single sound, because if you couldn't hear it, it wouldn't be happening in your brain. But you can actually hear your own voice in your head, right? You're chasing a sound, just like you're trying to chase a sound with a stereo, right? Yeah, so what was that about the sound in your head? I forgot. Anyway, yeah. Little. Yeah, so I use words, you know, to try and figure it out. And by singing in my head, when you turn the radio on, right, it's like it's clashing. It's clashing against the major scale that's in my head. And I've got to try and sort of like keep it to one side and not let it distract what's happening inside my head, because I'm thinking about the major scale going through it. And I'm trying to see where it connects to it within the major scale that I'm thinking in my head. And I might be rising going do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, and it might be the second re that I'll pick it up, and it's re, and then I'll check it on the re and see if it was the key that they were in. So I'm trying to think of the key before I even play it on the guitar, try and see if it locks in. Especially if I'm working and I'm trying to think of the what key it's in. And that's why on that piece of wood, right, I ended up telling myself to draw the key of G, and I drew it. I tried to draw as best as I could without even having a guitar around or anything, just from memory, like, oh, right, now I'm drawing it. And it all connected, you know. So each key is like a train carriage, that are all connected to each other, right? And you're just going from one end of the carriage to the other end, right? That's your job, to get from one octave to the other octave, to one another system. And everything else in between there, well, you add it in, whether you're going to do your modes or whatever you're going to do. Yeah. Anyway, people can do what they want with it. I just want it translated in other languages, because I think this is a worthy one, the one that everyone should know. And when you're talking with other people or with music, you can tell how knowledgeable they are by the sound that they're making in it, you know. I mean, I'm trying to follow the one, I make mistakes all the time, because I don't follow the one properly, right? So I take off and do other stuff. But if you can hang on to one while you're running around and doing some bits and pieces, you've always got a one, then you always know where one is, and then it's like, okay, if I'm on the second, back to the fifth, if I'm on the fifth to the third, and so forth, right? The one another system. You can't lose track of the one, otherwise you're kind of searching for it again by sound. Try and pull up to the one again and start from there. I get tired too playing, you know. It's not easy trying to play too long to how many songs was it along the radio, right? By the time you get to song number 10 or whatever, 12, it gets a bit hard on the fingers and that, you know, it's pretty cold here. I'm going like this on the guitar, try and warm up the tips of my fingers, right? Because I haven't got a reverse cycle system here, so it gets a bit chilly. Yeah, but you know, when you're a child, and you become one, right? You're a new one when you're a baby, right? So there's the baby right there, it's new. It doesn't know anything, it's completely confused and vulnerable, right? And it's depending on another one. Its best one is its mum, right? That's the number one to that one. Number one, all the other ones, pay respect to that one, right? Because if they're too greedy in that, and they don't do that to each other, pinch the key and go to another one, right? They sort of seem to have respect for each other and want to help each other in the hope that they're going to be heard as well, right? So that's how I sort of see it. So when you're a baby, you're vulnerable, and you start to grow up and that, right? You start to get coordination of different things and that, your arms and your limbs and all that sort of stuff, right? And start to walk in it, and then you can start looking after the one, and the best one, yourself. We're all pretty good at looking after ourselves, number one. And we know exactly what we want to eat. We need a scratch, we scratch, right? If we're cold, we cover up the one, right? The important one, right? And if the one's tired, we take it to bed and go to sleep. Or we can take it somewhere to show something to the one, your legs. And all the other notes in the major scale is exactly the same thing, right? They're there to help the one. They're like the arms and the limbs and all that, right? And they're there to help you. Use them and expect them to help you. Like you expect yourself to help you, right? Expect the same thing from them. Otherwise go to a different one, right? It's kind of like that. So when you arrive to the guitar and you place your finger on it, God has spoken. The king, the queen, right? The boss, whatever. You're number one. I'm just showing where all the ones are. What you do with it's up to you. But along the train carriage, there's a certain spot somewhere, right? Most of the time's happening down the front end, right? You've got the engines happening there, it's all the party's happening up the front. You've got to get to the front, because that's where all the action's happening, right? It's like getting to the right one, see? And get the best view from the front of the train, right? So each key's like a train. It just turns back into itself, right? Just because I go to the first string and it makes the carriage look like it's splitting like that and it doesn't look like a carriage at all, you can go from the third string to your third string open, from the third string open to your sixth, and then to your fourth. and then you didn't break the carriage, right, and turned it into like a snake or a train, right? Because if you look at the major scale on a single string, you've got 12 frets, and that's like a carriage straight line, right? So, but instead it's just going around the neck, going down and that, or going up. So that's the thing that's confusing about the guitar. Everything seems to be like upside down in a way. It's trying to confuse in any possible way it can. If you're on the 5th string and playing the C note, right, and you go below that note, which is like above, right, because below is above, I'm going on top of it. I'm going to the 6th string to get to below. I'm going higher, and that means lower. And if I'm on the 6th string and I'm going to the 4th string, which I'm going under the 4th string, I'm in onto the 4th string from the 5th, I'm going below it, under, it's going higher. So it's against you, right? That's what I mean. Yeah, it sort of works like that. There's always like a glitch somewhere in whether you're doing like a chord shape or something. Like that's why I break the one another system first chord. First shape I make, doing the one another system, I break it. Doing the one another system, doing the E bar chord. It's ready there. And the reason why the 4th finger's there is when you do your do, re, mi, fa, sol, ti, do, that's where it ends up. That 4th finger is the other do. That's why I put it there. Lock people in, lock them into the ones, and then there's not much you can do with your fingers, right? To put on the fingerboard. And the other way of explaining the ones and that, if I was to explain that first chord with this hand, my left hand, right, and let's say I closed up my hand and I'll lift up the first one and I'll try and lift up the third one, you can see it's facing this angle coming across here like this, and I have to push it forward in order for you to really see it properly, right? So that's no good, because I've got to hold it forward. I'm holding my hand like this at the back, so I'm hanging on to my fingers and holding them down to the palm of my hand, but that one needs to be pushed forward. So to show you a better one, that's a better one. You can see that better. That's why I use that one, right? And it works in with the to that human hand. So I was looking at the tapes and the videos that I've done and stuff. If I make mistakes, I mentioned there was a flattened third when there was no flattened thirds at all. There was just all the thirds on the piece of wood, and the fifths and the ones, right? And I said the flattened third, right? Or I might have said, oh, my little finger was the first finger, and it was the 4th, right? Or I might have said tone or semitone or something, It's pretty straightforward, I've tried to explain it the best way that I could. And I think you're going to get a lot out of it. I think everyone that does it is going to get something out of it. And if you're not going to be like in a holding pattern anymore, like you're stuck and you're just playing the same stuff over and over again, at least you can choose whichever one you want to go into now and start doing one another system, because you know that it kind of blends in, right? You can hear it straight away. It doesn't matter even if it's a bad one, from a bad one to another bad one, which we're talking about the right key, right? The right sound according to the music on the radio, right? You're in the right one. So you've got 12 keys. Your first job is to get to the one out of the 12 that's the right one. One of them is the right one. So you've got 1 in 12 chances of getting it. But if your ear's good, you'll get closer to that one, straight off. And if it's really good, you'll pull right up on it, right? And then once you're there, you're more than halfway there, because you do the one another system to get to the one that you're dealing with. That's what I'm trying to do. But I get tired, and it's not really the music I want to play along with, I'd rather listen to country, and that's on a Sunday, on Tuesday as well, 99.9 FM. I'd rather sort of be playing along with that. And but just to show people that it doesn't matter what song you do, don't just pick out something that's just crazy fast. you're going to be flat out trying to keep up with that one, right? Just do something that's on the radio at the moment, not the Triple J or something like that. It's going to be full on. Do the classical, even like the classical ones, you can find the one other system, like Get to the Key with the classical ones. That's pretty good. So yeah, the best one. Everyone thought I was probably going nuts, you know, when I went back to the major scale. I just had a different way of thinking by the time I got to my age, you know, and I thought I'd go back and have a bit of a look at the major scale and see what else I could maybe find in there. Sometimes it's good to go back to the beginning. You might pick up something that you forgot. Or when I used to teach 15 years ago or something like that, I'd be teaching little bits and pieces, and all of a sudden I'd see something and that I've never spotted before or heard, you know. All of a sudden the pennies dropped. That's what I'm talking about. I was watching something on a video. It was John Renbourn playing on live on the stage. He's just brilliant, right? And he made a mistake. And when he made a mistake, he was just walking slowly up into the key that he was chasing. But he didn't do like tone jumps. He sort of like almost semitone, get back into it. He sort of slid his way back into it. And now I've been trying to do that ever since. Like if you make a mistake, the one other system's trying to get you back to the closest one, right? To the closest one of the two ones, right? Wherever you are. So if you're on La T dot, get back to the dot, the closest one to that T, right? Or to the La. And yeah, that's how it works. So the people are going to do whatever they want with it. And I think that's fantastic. I'm yet to find another one that can beat that one. But if you can find one that's better than that one, right, that's the one I want to learn. But until that time comes, I'll just stick with the one that I've found, right? The one that's covering all the keys that I'm dealing with. That's the one I want to learn. That's the one I should have learned. That's the one that everyone should learn, right? So anyway,